So in Russia, it's more of like, yes, you have some like media that receives like a certain amount of state funding, but it's not like it's the government, the Russian government. It's like here's an entity, and here's some media that receives some funding. It's not everybody. And I just think like they're more upfront about, what they're doing. I don't see them jailing journalists, like foreign journalists, especially like we're talking about people like Julian Assange, like the United States is doing. Edward Snowden is here in Russia for a reason as a whistleblower. So I don't, this is like, it's just ridiculous when people try to compare. This is what really gets to me, when people try to compare NATO and the United States hegemony and the empire with Russia, who has been really vilified for us as Americans since the 50s, even before that. But we grew up thinking Russians were bad in every movie and every book and every way. And I just think it's unfair.
Yes, that's what Russiagate was for.
Yeah, Missy, you want to add to that before I move on?
She's obviously making great points. It's amazing to me that people think, and I say this all the time. Listen, I'm no fan of Putin. I realize that my Twitter handle is Comrade Misty is Putin's buddy. It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm not a fan of Putin. I don't like any world leaders. I think you can't reach that level of power without being kind of a psychopath, right? So I'm not a fan of Putin, but I think it's ridiculous. It's the height of ridiculousness for anybody in the United States to point their finger at Vladimir Putin on literally anything. Like everything that Putin has done in Ukraine so far since February is like a fucking Tuesday for the United States. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like it's you really you're gonna, like, the height of hypocrisy. And then you have people like Anthony Blinken talking about freedom of expression in Iran. Go fuck yourself, dude. Julian Assange is still sitting in Belmarsh. So the hypocrisy, the Western hypocrisy, and the just absolute American exceptionalism is disgusting. And I know Fee has said this. Everybody I've ever talked to who has worked at RT, Rachel Blevins, Lee Camp, Chris Hedges, everybody, they have been under no pressure to report on things a certain way. They've never been told what they can and cannot talk about. And if you know Fiorella, you know that her opinions have not changed one bit since she started working at RT. Her coverage has remained consistent and steady, and she has not changed any of her positions on anything. So is RT perfect? Of course not. Is Russia perfect? Of course not. But I mean, again, just the height of American hypocrisy for us to think that we have any moral superiority whatsoever to be finger wagging at anybody else ever on anything.
So you're not actually Putin's buddy?
I'm not.
Very disappointed.
Alas, I am not.
And I don't get like a sheet, right, that says, here, you can talk about this.
No.
Like when I do my reporting, I write my own stuff.
Yeah.
Like this is just ridiculous that people think like I'm just getting like all this. And even if I report exactly what Putin says because it's information, they're like, oh, she's reporting what Putin says. I'm like, yeah, because you don't hear it otherwise. So yeah. I'm literally reporting what he's saying. I'm putting his speeches up because you won't hear it. And then people are like, oh my God, thank you for putting this up because I would have never heard it. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you're welcome. Like, because it's like, I'm not doing it to push only his point of view. I'm putting it out there because you don't get his point of view at all. You don't in the United States, in the West in general, we don't get to see any of that. We just get one-sided views. And unless you go out of your way to seek it, you don't get it.
I literally see more journalistic freedom on RT. When you look at MSNBC and CNN, they literally following the same script. You will see that they will say the same exact thing on a story as if they got the same script from the CIA or the Pentagon. Hell, I watched TYT and a few other independent enough shows that sounds literally exactly like MSNBC on the Nancy Pelosi break-in, for example. We was asking questions. We told you guys how the working class felt about this. Meanwhile, Jordan and Jenkins melting down, Cowden melting down, like this is their good friend. Like it's like even less variety of opinions in this country than I see just based on my viewing of RT and based on knowing people like Lee Camp and Fiorella. So it's always ridiculous when people pretend that, oh, Russia, China, or any other country is more propagandized than ours. Our country is so propagandized, and I want to pass it to you guys on this thought. Like anyone who advocates for peace is called a Putin buddy, right? That's why a lot of people think you're a Putin's buddy because they see you advocating for peace. Fiorella, I see you advocate for peace. They call you Putin puppet. I've been called a Putin puppet because we advocate for peace. Meanwhile, Lula da Silva wins the election. The entire social democrats have smeared all of us, all like Lula.
Right?
All like, look, the same. You guys called us Putin puppet for the same position that Lula has. But Misty Fiorelli, you want to take that on? Like this insane psyop that advocating for peace, advocating for a ceasefire.
It's fucking crazy. So talking about peace is now Putin talking points. What? Okay, then yes, I am absolutely Putin's puppet. If advocating for peace,
you got to clip that.
Somebody will, I'm sure.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Comrade Misty admits that she is a Putin puppet. Yeah, if talking about peace makes one a Putin puppet, then sign me up. I am a Putin puppet. If that's what it takes, then yes, because I am anti-war, and I am not. I'm anti-NATO. And I 100% think that there needs to be a conversation about peace. And instead of flooding one of the most corrupt countries on earth that has, sanctioned Nazis and their military, instead of sending them a whole shit ton of weapons and money, we should be having conversations about, diplomacy and, fixing this shit properly. But that's not why we're doing it, because as Julian Assange has said before about Afghanistan, and you can just insert Ukraine into that whole scenario, is the goal is not a successful war. The goal is an endless war. And it's because it makes money. I mean, listen, military industrial complex is raking in the dough on this thing. They've bragged about it. The CEO of Raytheon was like, oh, this is great for business. You know what I mean? Like, they're not hiding it. So yeah, it's a joke. And it's the height of hypocrisy. And, if talking about peace makes you an enemy, then you might have some really weird priorities. I'm just saying.
Advocating for peace, getting booed now at a political event. You're being rude. You're being uncivil, Misty. Cinderella, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, I like that I'm seeing that too. I like that more people are out there, and I don't care. I mean, hey, I'm not 100% on board with LaRouche, but what am I going to do? Shit on these activists because they're like, I think that's so ridiculous. And this is what I hate about that part of the left. They're just like, oh no, it's about, they go from ideology first or whatever their belief is, and disregard like the message. Yeah. They go against a messenger. They decide, oh, is this person worth listening to? Blah, blah, blah. But they don't listen to the message. And so that's why they're so easily like manipulated, because that's what the tactic that's been used the last 2 years. We're talking about you're a Trump supporter, you're this, you're that, you're a right winger. Now, if you question the election, oh, okay, you question COVID, you're also some sort of right winger. Oh, you questioned Russiagate, you were a Putin puppet back then. I was a Putin puppet back then for questioning Russiagate and so now nothing's changed. I mean, it's just official, but like labeled. But like it's just like they use the same tactic because they know it works. And it works on people who literally are so focused on fitting into this certain echo chamber that they have to put out their checklist. This is why they call us, Fash fam or whatever, because we spoke to a Boogaloo boy. Like, it's just ridiculous. And then they focus on blaming everybody else, finding just these discrediting the messenger instead of what is being said. And what is being said is we need peace. It's as simple as that. We need to stop nuclear war. And me saying, hey, maybe you should stop nuclear war because Russia, you crossed the red lines. You broke the Minsk Accords. How about you do the right thing and you stop? Oh, you're pushing Putin talking points. No, I'm telling you how to stop nuclear war. It's that's that simple.